city leaders and others that crime is actually down. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings, the violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said there was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
All right, the reality is our national capital has been an absolute mess, and it's because obviously politicians haven't done what their only duty is to protect the American people. And so right now the federal government's stepping in to, I guess, fill in the gaps, we could say. President Donald Trump has deployed the National Guard, and they are making their way to Washington, D.C. And now normally, and I was just joking with my producer about this, normally I wouldn't be cheerleading for the federal government getting involved, but I'm all in on this one. The federal government is getting involved, and we are very thankful for that because, again, it's not even the local law enforcement officers. They want to do their jobs. It's all of the politicians, the Democrats, that were attempting to block them. So, folks, as we continue to talk about how the federal government is stepping in to help out with the National Guard's assistance, it's important to note that now all of the liberal hacks within the corporate media are so upset by this move. It's really bothering them to sit here and see the federal government stepping it up a notch in Washington, D.C. to secure the streets for the people, of course. Joining me now to discuss and help us understand what the heck's going on here in Washington, D.C. is Sean Parnell. He is the chief Pentagon spokesman and is also a senior advisor for the Secretary of Defense. Sean, it's so strange to see you in a suit and tie. You know, we've had you on this show as a regular, but, you know, you got a new job, you got a new gig. So congratulations. We're happy to have you today.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I don't wear a suit very often, but when I do, I try to wear pink, you know, because it matches the branding of your show. And, you know, I really try to bring things to another level when I do media, especially with shows that I used to go on all the time before I took this job.
I love it. I love it. I feel like we were training you for this job because we had you on our show before even Pete Hegseth was confirmed, and we were out here defending him because there were so many lies. So it's great to see that you've now made it into this position. I'm very excited for you because I know you have a great team over there running comms for the DOD. So we're excited about that. But I want to kind of sift through more of the lies because, you know, I was joking with my producer, Pete, earlier in the day, and we're laughing about how now the federal government is stepping into DC to kind of fill the gaps in because there were so many safety concerns because Democrats in the city weren't doing their job. And it's not even law enforcement. It was literally just Democrats. They were blocking them from doing their jobs. They weren't prosecuting crime accordingly. And now we have the federal government stepping in, and I'm all in for this, even though normally as a conservative, I'd say I wouldn't be in on this one. But there's a lot of lies going on right now. So tell us right now, what is the National Guard doing in DC?
Well, I mean, they're protecting our law enforcement and they're protecting our federal buildings and they're protecting our monuments. And ultimately, you know, I think that they have a deterrent effect against crime. I mean, Breanna, what's crazy about this is that DC is one of the most dangerous cities in the entire world. And yet you have Democrats now who, by the way, have strangely taken the 20% position on 80-20 issues and then simultaneously wondering why their approval rating is like 20%. They are now advocating for positions that are somehow pro-crime. Again, like DC is a city that I think in the year 2023 had over 270 murders. And so this is needed. It's common sense. We're looking to support law enforcement and keep the peace so that the American people can live their lives free of crime. But again, Democrat leaders are opposed to it, which is crazy, which is why their approval rating is in the tank.
Yeah, yeah, and one would think they would love this. They love government, so this would be great for them. And again, they're being so misleading on this front by sitting here and pretending like this is like a militarization of our government right now, going into local cities and arresting people. But again, you guys really aren't making arrests. Is that a correct?
Yeah, correct. I mean, that's not part of the authorities that have been delegated to the National Guard at this point. But if you think back to the Summer of Love in 2020, and you had thousands of people violently protesting, laying siege to the White House. They battered, bloodied, and wounded, I think, 40 uniformed Secret Service agents. They tried to burn down St. John's Church. That kind of stuff is crazy. It's not acceptable. And in this Trump administration, we're not going to allow it. So our job at the Department of Defense is to give the president options. And one of those courses of action is having the National Guard mobilized in D.C. to keep the peace. And that's exactly what they're doing, and we're proud to do it, and I know they are as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the people who live in DC are excited for this because this has been a long time coming. We just heard the woman prior to us joining them on this segment talking about how there's always been crime in DC, and they were hoping the National Guard was going to step in to kind of drive that crime down. How many lives could have been saved? And Sean, I was watching videos as local authorities are now tearing down these homeless encampments. Now, not even as a spokesperson in your current role at the DOD, I want to talk about what it's like living in DC with having to kind of maneuver around these homeless encampments, because I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and honestly, I was just walking and two of them kept circling around me, these homeless people, and you feel so bad for them because it's obviously a mental health crisis for them, but the local officials aren't doing anything to pull them off the streets and get them this help. So now we're watching as President Trump is applying that pressure. What does this mean to residents in the area?
Yeah, and you heard President Trump talk about this. They're going to be moved out of the area, but they're going to be treated with compassion and into facilities that can care for them, right? But the truth is that you should be able to walk your dog in DC safely. You should be able to go for a jog in DC safely. You should be able to park your car and walk to your office without being accosted by somebody who is, addicted to drugs or potentially violent. Right? This is the social contract that should exist with the federal government. One of the primary responsibilities of the federal government is to protect and keep safe the American people. Democrats and Democrat leaders in cities all across America, I contend, have abdicated that responsibility. And if they're not going to do the job, I know President Trump will, and Secretary Hegseth will as well. We certainly support him in that. And again, say it for the third time, we're proud to do this mission. We're proud to keep the American people safe. And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do.
Yeah, and I love to hear that. I love to hear that because it's not just you guys saying, and I think people actually truly believe you guys when you say it. Because right now, and I wanted to get to this point because first off, it matches your tie, so it's great with the theme. But female enlistment in the military is skyrocketing right now. When we look at the fiscal year 2025 compared to last year, recruitment numbers are up over 7,000 amongst females looking to join the military. Now, this is so strange to me because I remember when Secretary Hegseth was being confirmed, Elizabeth Warren's just gunning for this poor guy to pretend like he was sexist and he was going to push women out of the military, and they were just gunning for him. So now we're seeing that women are joining, and they're joining the DOD, they're joining our military, and they are so thrilled to join. Does the mainstream media and Elizabeth Warren owe Secretary Hegseth an apology?
Well, yeah, and I think this is a great example of just why the American people, you talk about things that have lower approval ratings than the Democrat Party. The mainstream media is probably one of those entities that has lower approval ratings than the Democrat Party. But yes, you remember the narrative that, Secretary Hegseth, if he becomes Secretary of Defense, women aren't going to want to serve under him. And now we see unequivocally that that was a lie. And women are joining in historic numbers. And I think, for us, it's not about men, women. It's about can you achieve the mission? Can you adhere to a standard? It's all merit-based. But the point is that mainstream media lied and was completely wrong. And so, senators that made that point should apologize to Secretary Hegseth. We won't hold our breath because we know that's not how the Democrats operate. But I would also say, the people, men and women both, like when they raise their right hand to volunteer to serve this country, they want to know that they're joining the best military in the world. And so if your military is driven by standards and not a social woke agenda, if your military is driven by merit and not crazy diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're joining a military that's going to be focused on the mission, that's going to be focused on lethality, that's going to be focused on getting the job done. And if you're a young kid that wants to raise their right hand and volunteer to serve, you want to know you're joining the best military on the face of the planet under President Trump and under Secretary Hegseth. They have an opportunity to do just that. So it's not, you see, women joining in historic numbers, but just people across the board, Breanna, are raising their right hand to volunteer to serve under this secretary because they know they're going to have an opportunity to serve something greater than themselves and the best military on the face of the planet. And if they're looking to be challenged, there's no better time than now and no better leaders to serve under than President Trump and Secretary Hegseth.
Absolutely, and they're not going to be drowned in LGBTQ propaganda,
Right,
and I think that's something
right.
that they're going to really enjoy. So it's great to see the numbers going up, and it's great to see Democrats once again being proven wrong. Sean, I know you have a very busy day ahead of you. You're a very busy man. We appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us again as always.
Yeah, thanks, Breanna. See you soon.
Well, I am very excited about a new project that I've been working on. It is about to be released, and I get to show you what I've been busy working with. It is my brand new book about the First Lady, Miss Melania Trump. Of course, you know, if I was going to put together a book, it was going to be a photo book, and it is all my favorite pics of the First Lady. As many of you guys know, she is the most beautiful First Lady we ever had, and her elegance needs to be celebrated. So that's why we put together this book, the Melania Trump Elegance in the White House, which is available right now for pre-order on Amazon. You can head on over to Amazon, you can search my name, and the book will come up. It is also in the description of this video. And the reason why we're doing this, well, because as many of you guys know, we had to deal with the last 4 years in the mainstream media telling us that Jill Biden was not only attractive, but she had a sense of fashion. The woman literally wore picnic tablecloths as dresses, and we were forced to pretend like this was a fashionista. Well, no longer we have to do that. We've now got this beautiful First Lady that the mainstream media will never properly celebrate. So I have taken the duty of doing just that. So head on over right now to Amazon, support my very first project that I'm very excited about. Over on Amazon, just look up the Melania Trump Elegance in the White House, or just search my name, Breanna Morello, and it will pop up. Again, folks, it is available right now for pre-order, and it will be released officially on September 16th.